Hello YouTube. I've told you a number of stories about the Russian Far East and the unusual paranormal phenomena that can be found in that wonderful part of our planet. But there is something that I've been interested in for many years, and the Far East, is a special place for me because my grandfather spent some time there, and he was fighting the Japanese Imperial Army in the late 1930s, and my father had served in the Soviet armed forces in the area, and they told me a number of stories about the Far East, and I've collected my own. What I wanted to let you know today about ginseng. Knowledge about the healing qualities of ginseng, also known as shen or pan-tsui, have been surrounded by legends for many centuries. Not much is really known about it in the West, except specialized studies, of course, and research, but everyday people don't know what really ginseng is, and I want to bring up my knowledge. Its names are the wonder root, the gift of the gods, the root of life, the elixir of immortality, and it had been used by the Chinese traditional medicine for over 2,000 years. Actually, there are ancient Chinese medical manuscripts about it that date back to 2800 BC. Ginseng possesses incredible life potential. Today, true Chinese ginseng, Panax ginseng, that grows in the Russian Far East, in the Primoria or Maritime region, it's a rare and unique plant. It grows in the Usurian taiga, a unique and beautiful place where nature is abundant and biodiversity is tremendous in its scope. No wonder it's called the Northern Jungle. Ginseng is fragile and small, but also strong, and after being injured, the plant can lie in the soil for many years and then grow again, but in a new body. A 20-year-old plant only has 3 leaves. If it reaches the venerable age of 60 years, it has 5 leaves. Ginseng blossoms in July, and tiny red berries appear in August. The wonder root does not like sunlight. It grows in the areas where the rays of sun never penetrate. Ginseng can be found in hanging valleys with steep terrain and barren, and snowfall is abundant. It loves cedar trees and lets its roots grow under them. Many people seek true ginseng, but only Chinese sages know its full medicinal value. The genus name Panax means cure all in Greek. In 1843, Karl Mayer, a Russian botanist, gave Panax ginseng term to ginseng, Shen in Chinese, or man and containing nourishment. That's what it means in Chinese. Phenomenal ginseng is a symbol of Oriental medicine. Chemical composition of ginseng is well known, but scientists have not been very successful in their efforts to replicate it. Although ginseng has been researched extensively, its curative mechanism is not understood in the West. Nevertheless, Western medicine had to accept it as a medicinal herb. Ginseng is characterized as a mild stimulant and an adapter, a preparation helping the organism to adapt to the unfavorable environment. It is said to be very important for treatment of nervous and mental diseases. It is said to influence carbohydrate metabolism by lowering content of sugar in blood, improve functions of the sexual glands, help eyesight, fight viruses, boost immunity, reduce cholesterol, improve mental and physical capacity for work, treat colds, and it is said to have rejuvenating powers. One of the lesser known effects of Ginseng is its ability to fight the body excess weight. Ancient Chinese manuscripts mentioned ginseng's catabolic properties. Interesting studies have been conducted at the Laboratory of Biotechnology, Genetic Engineering Biotechnology of the Institute of Biology and Soil Science, Far Eastern Branch of the Russian Academy of Sciences. A gene of rhizogene bacteria was built into the DNA composition of ginseng strain cell. This led to numerous variations in morphological, hormonal, and biosynthetic characteristics of ginseng cells. The original ginseng cells into which the gene was transferred originated from the stalk. After transformation, they could form roots, leaves, and even flowers. But nowadays there are many predators who roam the taiga, trying to find and grab this fragile and wonderful little understood but long revered treasure of planet Earth. I want to tell you about secret rituals and ancient knowledge pertaining to ginseng. Ancient legends have it that the gods hide this wonder root from too many eyes and show it only to those who are worthy. Chinese medical science has used ginseng as a cure for many illnesses. When traveling in the winter time, the Chinese carried the root with them to provide warmth and prevent hunger. They believed it cures 5 internal organs. It subdued arrogance and anger, calmed people down, and saved from the evil eye. People close to death drank potion made from the root of life, and regaining consciousness, they reportedly lived for some time more. An old heralded Chinese pharmacology textbook from 1596 AD, Li Shi Zhen Grand Materia Medica, included over 100 prescriptions for medicinal drugs prepared from ginseng. The search for ginseng was organized on a national level in China during the Manchurian dynasty, and special trained groups of people called blue pheasants, wearing special uniforms, look for the root of life in the forests. Behind them march imperial soldiers and officials to make sure that the blue pheasants don't steal ginseng or ginseng. To harm the root meant severe punishment. Fighting the true ginseng resulted in rich rewards. The Udege people who live in villages throughout the Primoria or the Maritime province are true natives of the land, and they have traded ginseng or pan-tsui in the Udege language to the Chinese, who had overtaken their lands, but later the Chinese ceded the lands to the Russians. The Russians first learned the value of ginseng from the Chinese manza seekers, who began to cross the border when their resources began to diminish. Those manza left a difficult existence, full of dangers among these deep forests and faraway mountains. Their gaze was cast usually downward as a habit. They were ascetic people with keen senses of perception. They were as agile as tigers, had eyesight of hawks, and could smell and hear dangers of the taiga as wolves and hares do. But they would never lose their human essence among the struggles with wild nature. They faced death constantly, and they were fatalistic, but they believed in destiny and trusted that mountain and the taiga spirits would assist them in their quest to find the root of life. They also knew that more dangerous than any animal was another human being, waiting for them in an ambush, a predator with a gun in his hand. According to the renowned Russian explorer Arseniev, and I mentioned him in some of my other videos about the paranormal stories of the taiga. According to him, the skilled manza, upon seeing the ginseng, threw away his staff covering his eyes, would fall down on the ground. "Do not leave, pan-tsui," he would scream loudly. "I'm a pure person. My soul has been freed from sins. My heart is open and I have no evil intentions." Only then would the Chinese Udege seeker be bold enough to open his eyes and look at the plant. The location of the plant is where the plant is found is diligently searched and studied. The Manza looks at the topography, the geological composition of the surrounding area, the soil, and the various plants. He determines location of the sun in relation to the ginseng plant and the flow of the wind. After observing the area, the Manza gets down on his knees, moves the grass aside, and very carefully looks at the plant. When he determines that the ginseng plant is solitary and no other of the kind is at the site, the Manza carefully excavates the ground, barely uncovering the plant. By looking at its wrinkles and the grooves, the Manza determines its quality. If he decides that the root is still small, he lets it grow until the next year. Then the Manza makes sure he returns it and the site to the order in which he found it. If the pan-tsui is in the stage of blossoming or the maturation of its seeds, the Manza lets it blossom and drops its seeds so the other plants could grow. Thin wooden sticks surround the pan-tsui itself, a sign that the root has been found there. No other Chinese Manza would ever touch it. The taiga keeps many secrets, but people who live there know that in the past those who stole ginseng from another person's territory was buried alive and left to die. One who seeks the root of life cannot carry weapons because according to the ancient legends, Ginseng loves only peaceful people whose hearts are pure. Those who find the wonder root cannot reject it because misfortunes would follow them. When the time comes, the root is extracted from the soil with all necessary precautions. Other Russian sources mention that the Chinese ginseng seekers, pan-tsui, had developed their own secret language, Hao Shu Hoa, special tree signs, various marks to indicate the areas where roots are excavated and the characteristics of the seeds. They would find a cedar tree close to the site and cut out a piece of the bark. Then they would wrap a moss-covered ginseng into the bark. 1 year later, such cut, the wood tar that come out, would be burned. As a result, there appeared the so-called black burn, well visible in the taiga. They served as a news board about roots found in the area. Russian seekers call it labaderina in their secret language. The ancient customs of covering the ginseng roots with moss and placing them in a special box made from the bark of coniferous tree had a very special meaning. The root was protected against injuries and infections. Many microorganisms that cause the pan-tsui root to become ill are always present in the soil. When the soil is undisturbed, such microorganisms are either inactive or in the state of saprotroph, an organism that obtains its nutrients from non-living organic matter, usually dead and decaying plant or animal matter, by absorbing soluble organic compounds. As the soil gets disturbed due to the excavation, they become active and can damage the precious root. That's why the Manza and the pan-tsui use the moss as the most well-known antiseptic method. And during numerous wars, moss was used to disinfect the wounds, and the water that engulfs moss never decays. Some manza also kept the root of life in clay, in wooden boxes. Modern Russian ginseng seekers, not the predatory poachers, but the seekers, they are called karnevshiki. Korень means root in Russian. They follow the ancient Chinese traditions of the wonder root seekers. They walk the taiga in a strictly maintained row with precise distance between men. They carry saborgun, a special staff used to seek the Ginseng and chase away snakes. They break branches of young trees to mark the area and not come back there again. The thorough research often produced sightings of the so-called dog pan-tsui, or any plant that had red berries, but the genuine Ginseng is very hard to find. Karnevshiki have their own slang. They use ancient Chinese terms to distinguish the wonder root, pochanza, a plant with one leaf, altaza with 2 leaves, tantaza 3 leaves, cipia 4 leaves, upia 5 leaves, and lipia with very rare 6 leaves. The leaves resemble human hands. The largest roots have their own names. For example, the Usurian old man and others. The larger the root, the more expensive it is. 200 grams roots are rare. Those of 400 to 600 grams are unique and almost impossible to find. The root of genuine Ginseng resembles a human being, and the taiga manza gave its parts anatomical names. The main root is called body. There are female and male roots. Karnevshiki believe in supernatural powers that guard the wonder root and speak the secret language with the taiga spirits. Some, like the Udegei, worship Bua, or the master spirit of the Usurian taiga. They read the Lobadirina signs found in the bark of the cedar trees and hit it with their soborgun a number of times, as the traditions demand. Their taiga language includes cuts into trees, signs carved in stone, built from small rocks, and in the past some signs belonged to the family clans and were truly secret. They knew how to warn others they trusted of the dangers in a given area. Karnevshiki kill poisonous deadly snakes that lurk in the grass and among rocks. An ancient belief has it that once the poisonous reptile is killed, one can find the Ginseng. The explanation lies in the fact that one really strains his eyes, safeguarding against it, and thus develops the keen vision. The Chinese claim that the root of life was of supernatural origins. Long ago, a lightning struck a clear mountain brook. The water disappeared, and in the spot when the lightning struck, a plant appeared and took the strength of celestial fire. Yet another legend tells the story of a root called Ginseng that lived in China long ago and had ability to turn into human beings and animals. The great Chinese prophet Lao Tse discovered its healing, curative strength and gave the people its description. The Ginseng was disturbed by this and hid in the north, where another Chinese scientist, using herbs, found its whereabouts. There is yet another legend about the root of life origins, and it also comes from China. Chinese villagers once heard strange sounds coming from the ground. They resembled a prayer or a call for help, and it came from under the surface. At the place where the sounds were the loudest, the peasants discovered a small plant. It was carefully excavated, and they found a strange-looking root, whose shape resembled that of a human being. That is why they called it Ginseng. They believed it embodied the spirit of the earth. Well, in the 21st century, Panax ginseng, the root of life, is on the verge of extinction. Many Russian dwellers of the taiga grow ginseng at home, and later they replant it in the taiga soil. They hope that the plant will combine traits of the taiga-grown ginseng, and there will be a morphological similarity. They plant seeds as well as 5-year-old shen. It goes through an illness stage and continues its growth. Poverty has driven many Russians into the taiga to seek out shen and sell it to the Chinese buyers. The transplantation can produce a significant baneful effect on the gene pool of the wild-growing population of Panax ginseng. There have been organized Chinese and Russian criminal groups that smuggle Siberian tigers, wildlife derivatives, gold, drugs, women, and the root of life from the maritime province Primoria to China. Russia used to be the main supplier of the wild and planted ginseng, but lost the lead to South Korea and the United States. Centuries of shen gathering have truly exhausted its reserves, and to assure supplies, Korean began its cultivation over 500 years ago. Now, the Siberian ginseng, popular in the West, is not a genuine shen. It grows in the Usurian taiga, where it is called Elixir. There is plants a distant botanical relative of true ginseng. It is less popular than the pan-tsui, and it is a distinct plant with different active chemical components used in the preparation of both medicines and foodstuffs. In the 1980s, the Soviets had researched effects on plant growth in space aboard their space stations. Temperature-controlled cabinets were used to grow ginseng cell cultures. Of course, we should continue to study effects of space flights on botanical objects, but we must also protect the plant's unique treasures here on Earth, because we may yet learn the full medicinal properties of the root of life, not the miraculous ginseng. And from my research of the UFO phenomena in the Soviet Union and Russia, I must tell you that UFOs have been often observed through the centuries over the taiga regions. And maybe ginseng is one of the reasons they come. And maybe they collect it too. And whoever is in charge of the unusual, unidentified flying objects knows the true worth of the root of life and takes it away from our planet. Who knows? Thank you. Please subscribe to my videos, to my channel. Please share my videos